Hello and welcome to Flight Deck. I'm Sierra Pileggi. That's Nick Alberga. And we're heading into game two of the Toronto Blue Jays and Seattle Mariners series. Shane Bieber on the mound tonight. Isn't that right?
You're right. Game 89 of this Blue Jays campaign. It's no longer early, and what a joyous, beautiful Saturday this has been. Joey Chestnut, and of course, the Canadian Olympic, or not Olympic squad, the World Cup squad. A tough game for them against Morocco. Of course, Flight Deck is a presentation of Bet365. Check out Bet365's 5-run early payout. When your team goes up 5, you get paid. It's that simple. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Now, Sierra, I love these types of series whenever this Blue Jays team visits Seattle, just the crowd specifically. And it was pretty much split up the middle last night, but I love the environment first and foremost.
Oh, it's so nice to see, especially it almost seemed kind of like a home game for the Jays as well. Looking at the crowd, like you said, it was split up the middle, and looking at how they did against the last time they played Seattle, it really seemed like Toronto kind of came out to support, which is really nice to see.
Phenomenal. And I think when we look back at last night's game, we'll look ahead in a couple moments. Of course, Shane Bieber on the hill against Logan Gilbert, and another great pitching matchup. I think that's been the theme with Seattle throughout this season is just their rotation. They go 6 deep. Luis Castillo is like their number 6. It's insane. But for me, Sierra, when you look back at last night's game, and I said it going into the pregame on Flight Deck, the importance of Dylan Cease and why you pay this guy the big coin. I thought he was awesome. 7 shutout innings. The pitch count is what got me. If you consider what he did against Texas, he struggled, couldn't get out of the 4th inning in that one. 102 pitches, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 9 Ks. But the big thing for me is the command. Anytime you talk Dylan Cease, he has amazing stuff. It's commanding that ball. And just the 1 walk in that game is like the big stat for me last night.
Yeah, he definitely didn't come to play last night. He was insane for the Jays, and he's huge part of the reason that they had a shutout. And the last time the Jays had a shutout and the starter gave them a quality start, it was Dylan Cease on May 8th against the Angels. And it's nice to see him coming out again and, really putting in that effort. And once again, that's why the Jays pay him. He's looking really, really strong.
Well, that's the thing, too. I think when you look at this team and trying to march back into playoff contention, of course, we talked about it off the top, the importance of this series, because who are they chasing in wildcard 3? The Seattle Mariners. So you start the series off on the right foot, getting that victory. But I think when you have a Bulldog on the hill and then you combo that with like the Biebers, the Savages of the world, Gossman's going to go next series. I think the key for the Blue Jays is finding that consistency now between now and the All-Star break. The hitting is what it is. It continues. Only 2 runs mustered yesterday. It puts a lot of heat on your pitching staff. Again, but when you have the luxury of rolling out like a Dylan Cease, I think you're going to be in a really good spot. 9th game with 100-plus pitches, at least 7 Ks in 10 straight starts. If you guys remember my bet last night, hit the parlay plus 190. I like the under 7. And I liked Dylan Cease over 7.5 Ks. Both hit the parlay plus 190 once again. So really good stuff. But the command was on. The changeup was fire last night. The off-speed stuff to complement that fastball, flirting with 100 on a nightly basis. Fantastic news for this Blue Jays team. And I think they have, again, this luxury, Sierra, of having and possessing multiple guns atop the rotation. And Shane Bieber's made a couple starts so far this season. I think his second one better than his first. But again, this is why you have a Shane Bieber for moments like this where you're trying to create some separation in the standings for sure. And you look at this series specifically, it is massive for both squads.
Absolutely. And looking at Shane Bieber, in his last outing, he pitched 5 1/3 innings against the Rangers, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 home run, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Like the outings that he's had, once again, like you said, the second one has definitely been better than the first. But I think because of what he's gone through with like injuries and kind of getting back into it, I think it can only go up from here. And like you said, the Jays hitting, it is what it is. Last night they won 2-0. They managed, right? And it was a good game. But with Bieber on the mound tonight, I expect big things from him.
I'm going to be blunt. The hitting's been shit, okay? There's no other better way to describe it. The Blue Jays have been a really, really difficult watch. Having said that, we talked about it, game 89 of this season. We're into the month of July. Trade deadline is like a month away. It is so important for them to put themselves in position in the standings to contest for a playoff spot, to be a profound buyer. Like, it's insane to me that we're just about at the 90-game mark, and nobody has a clue if this team should, in fact, be buyers. They're going to be buyers. It goes without saying. But they're in a rough spot in the standings. And the biggest difference for me from last year is just the ABs, the at-bats. They just don't have an identity at the plate offensively. And I think it continued last night. I think the big story was that third inning, and they've been unable for the most part this season to string some hits together. But you get the Keys single, you get the Jimenez double, scores keys on that one, and the bunt from Lucas. I know Lucas is getting a lot of praise for that bunt, but he popped it up, and maybe it was more chained to the Seattle defensive structure than it was laying down a perfect bunt. But he did the job, which was huge. And then the Jimenez double, as you're seeing on your screen right now. But even the rocket by Vladdy, that's been such a polarizing story, Sierra, and I'm sure you would agree, is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. When you think about where that guy was, and I called it crazy last night on the pregame show prior to game one of this 3-game set, that Sportsnet was reliving history and showing game 6 and 7 against Seattle in the CS. You sort of remember how on fire Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was. It's been a different story this season. And it goes without saying, you got to get this guy going or you're absolutely cooked. But I think the way he took that ball to the opposite field, just doing a job, I think was massive, considering this team's struggle scoring this year.
Well, also when you think about the Jays, you think about Vladdy. He's like, if not the first person that you think about, one of the first. And just to see him finally hit something, it's like, okay, we've been waiting for this for so long. And I know last year it was Canada Day that really got the Jays going. So I think a lot of people were almost kind of waiting for that mark to see, like, okay, are they going to make, do anything worthwhile? And the hitting's just not been there. But that's what we need to see out of Vladdy, is what he did last night. But if it doesn't continue, then that's worrisome, honestly. And I mean, it goes with the entire team too. Like, they just haven't been doing their part like they should, and the entire team is just worrisome. I don't think it's fair to put it just on Vladdy, but still, he's the guy.
The positive is that they're the hottest team in baseball in the month of July, right? Now 2-0 exactly. After the Canada Day victory. But I sort of joked the last couple of days that Maple Leafs prospects have more home runs than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. This year at Rogers Center. Like, it just does not make sense to me. And take away the money that guy makes, just how much of a rut this guy's in. Like, he looks like a shadow of himself. And it was like watching the old Spider-Man meme yesterday. Cal Raleigh on the other side. What the hell happened to the big dumper? Like, I was laughing because he's got the equipment on his arm there, the armband, and it says big dumper. I mean, this guy's not hitting well enough to have any nickname whatsoever. Like, he's been awful. And I think Seattle's very relatable in terms of maybe having a bit of a hangover from what happened last year. Granted, they're a couple games over 500, but now 2.5 games ahead of the Blue Jays in the standings. But you're so right. Like, this team will go no different than any other sport where your star players go. And I think they've been unable to find that consistency throughout the lineup, notwithstanding Okamoto, who's been pretty consistent, 240 hitter. Yeah. Ernie Clement's been pretty solid. Nathan Lucas has been pretty solid when he's been in the lineup. But even Al Kirk's a guy who's been up and down. A lot of downs for George Springer, who's currently on the paternity list. But everything, to me, and rightfully so, revolves around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You got to find a way to get going. And even if you're not hitting the ball, I think the big story for me is like AB's like last night, where he just hits it the other way and cashes that run. You got to find a way every game to make a difference. And I think from that aspect, the fortunate part is that Vladdy has been incredible defensively. He made a great play in the 9th inning last night to preserve that win. But I think we're just looking for that guy to bust loose. And you'll see Guerrero bust loose. I think it's contagious. When a guy of that magnitude starts hitting, entire lineup's going to start hitting, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with you, because Vladdy's the guy that gets the team going too. And like, yes, the Jays have been kind of riddled with unlucky injuries and random things here and there, but Vladdy has been consistently not great, and he's been in a rut. And once he finds a way to get out of that, which I'm sure he will, I'm hopeful that he will. I mean, it looks like things are kind of turning up, but once he does, you can definitely tell the entire team is going to kind of lift up as well.
Well, they better, or this team's going to be in big time trouble in the standings. And I just think they're putting so much stress on the pitching staff on a nightly basis. Like, you go out last night, and Cease is an animal. We get it. He was outstanding. In general, you go Cease to Hoffman to Varland, 12 Ks, 3 hits, 1 walk, a shutout victory. You can't expect that every night. But I wonder, even from an all-star point of view, like, you look at the story that is Louis Varland, you sort of almost forget who the closer was to finish off last season. Well, you don't actually, because we all know what happened in the CS, more specifically in the World Series. Hoffman's had his struggles, but you got to give him credit. he's been better in this newfound role here as more of a 7, maybe 8 type guy, coupled with Tyler Rogers. But Varland's been the saving grace for me. I don't know about you when you look at guys who have really, really kept this team on the road this season. Varland's there, and Kazuma Okamoto, reigning AL Rookie of the Month, has been a brilliant story too. Without those two guys specifically, I have no clue where the hell this Blue Jays team is right now.
I completely agree. I was saying that they should put Varland in before they even did. I love that guy. He's incredible for the team. He's very clutch. He continues to dominate. He's 18 for 18 in save opportunities. Like, he's just the guy. He does not fold under pressure. And even Jeff Hoffman, he's been looking, like you said, better not being in that closing position as well since June 4th. He's pitched 13 innings, 17 strikeouts, 5 walks, 5 hits. I don't think anyone at the beginning of this year would have even thought that. Like, every time Jeff Hoffman came on the mound, everyone was like, oh my God, game's over, But putting him not in that closing position has really, really, I think, helped them and helped the Jays. And Varland, every time he gets on the mound, I love that guy. I have faith in him.
Yeah, and I think talking about Hoffman first, the broadcast was talking yesterday how he's resorted back more to his slider opposed to his approach last year specifically with the fastball. And there's a lot of X's and O's that go to closing. It was a high stress situation for sure. And it just seems like Varland specifically, everybody saw it for like the last year and a half that he had that sort of bulldog mentality. And I guess it's been a year since he came over from Minnesota, but what a pickup. Like I joked about this on Twitter a couple weeks back that Varland could end up being one of the best trades in franchise history. That's how highly I feel of Louis Varland. And again, 18 for 18 and save opportunities. The velo is what I look for. But again, when you look at Hoffman, he's better slotted to be in that type of position as opposed to force fed into the closing position. So as long as that guy does well, I don't think anybody's going to talk about him. Of course, the trade deadline's coming up in about a month from now. A lot of stressful games ahead, of course. And the Blue Jays have done this to themselves too, right? I think you look at the standings, they got to start making up some ground. I think at this point in time, you're not really looking at the division, but you're looking at the wild card positioning. Because I think if there's one thing I learned from last fall, just get in and you never know what's going to happen, right?
Exactly. And I mean, I could see them trading Hoffman or trying to do something of that sort. And I wouldn't even be mad about it. I would honestly kind of like that move just to see something new. Once again, Hoffman's been great in the role that he's been in right now. But I mean, if nothing's working for the Jays, if they're fighting for that wild card spot, then they need to do something to make sure they get that.
Mm-hmm.
Because going from being in the literal World Series Game 7 to not even making a wild card or like being on the edge, like something needs to change. And if it's Hoffman, if it's something in the bullpen, so be it.
They
For
need some
sure.
power arms for sure. And I think producer Thomas might have had too many tequila shots watching the Canada game because we've got a poll up here in the chat at BlueJaysNation.com. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Could Jeff Hoffman return to the closing role? Yes or no? I couldn't react quicker to press no. I think those days are gone. How would you answer that question, Sierra?
I would say no. I think he had his chance, and he had too many chances, in my opinion, and can't give him another one. You know what? Leave him where he is right now.
The greater question is like how many tequila shots would John Schneider need to consider that again? Because Varland's been an absolute beast, and we joke about in this market like this guy's headed to the All-Star game. There's no doubt about it. He's been one of the best relievers, best pitchers, period, in baseball this season. Louis Varland's been so damn good, but is his arm going to fall off? Is my question. Like they were laughing on the broadcast last night that he got 3 days rest. That's an eternity for Louis Varland, but he's been an unreal story. So is Sean Keys. I said yesterday that move specifically reeked of desperation, and all that guy does is come out and go 2 for 4, hits a double, hits a single. He roped one to the warning track that was caught, but he seemed to be alert hitting wise last night. 4 for 16 now in 4 games in the majors. But I don't know how you viewed that move to bring up Sean Keys. I mean, you can't forget that to start the year, I think he was like in high A, something like that, or even a year ago. To bolt up the rankings the way he has in short order, going from AA to AAA in Buffalo, all of a sudden he's a Blue Jay. I think there's a bit of desperation, but you also have to ride the hot hand. Everything we just talked about the last couple minutes, where this offense is just begging for a bat at this point in time.
No, they definitely are. And I mean, like I said before, the Jays have it's been an unfortunate season for them with the injuries, not everyone not kind of being at their best. So they had to do what they had to do. They had to bring Sean Keys up, and I think it was desperation as well. But at the same time, I don't think it was a bad decision. I mean, if he's hitting relatively like on the same pace, I guess, as everyone else, which is
Yeah.
obviously not great, but if he's fitting in, why not?
Yeah, I agree. I agree at this point in time, especially until the All-Star break, and maybe they can get their ducks in a row. We talked about it last night, a variety of different guys right now in Florida. Addison Barger is going to be rehabbing until at least the All-Star break. There's movement on that front, at least in terms of guys getting healthy. But for me, that's been a massive story is health. I think you can make that case for any professional sport, never mind just the Blue Jays of Major League Baseball. Every team's deal with injuries, and the Blue Jays have been among them certainly this season. But Sean Keys has been a guy just because this offense has been starved for offense, and it continued, quite frankly, in game one of this series, just mustering 2 runs, both coming in the 3rd inning. So definitely on the lookout for Keys moving forward. Also on the lookout to see what happens with Randy Arozarena. Like watching the game last night, and I love professional athletes sometimes, like just so selfish to use both ABS challenges in the 1st inning. Like nobody on base. I understand a stud's on the hill and Dylan Cease, but you got to be smarter than that. And as somebody who played the game at a pretty decent level growing up, I could tell you this will bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what happened last night. You get to the 9th inning, couple of questionable calls, especially the one to Cal Raleigh, where if they had ABS and they had a challenge, that probably comes back and Raleigh puts himself in a better count. And the big dumper, I don't care if he's batting 160 or 56, he owns the Toronto Blue Jays. So you put him in that type of position, he's going to be difficult. But it allows Varland to climb the ladder, strike him out. But what a meathead play by Randy Arozarena last night.
I just have to say, if I was any of his teammates, I would be so pissed off. Like,
how would you handle that, Sierra? What would you do?
God, I don't even know. I don't like. I would want to just walk out of the game at that point. I'd be like, I'm done. Like, I don't even want to play because the first inning, like you have so much game left to play. Like, okay, even if he didn't call it and like was right, which he wasn't right either of the times, so makes it even worse. But even if he was right one of the times, leave it. It's the 1st inning. You still have so much more game to play. And I feel like that honestly just gave the Jays more momentum because they knew they have no more challenges left, right? Like what else, do they have to lose at this point? I don't even want to know how everyone on the bench or anyone on the team at all handled that cuz I would be pissed.
I have to credit the TV crew watching the Sportsnet broadcast because the director cuts were just tremendous, going from the manager of the Mariners to Luis Castillo, the starting pitcher. Because you can't forget too, like it's not just on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively speaking, the pitcher might want a couple reviews of the catcher, and to utilize those so quickly. And again, I understand and comprehend that it's Dylan Cease, and you got to pick your battles because that guy more times than not is not going to surrender much, but. It was just pretty dumb. And I just knew right away watching that in the 1st inning that it was going to bite Seattle in the ass. And I honestly thought it set the tone for the entire game. Like as perfect a game as you can play, I think, if you're the Blue Jays from a pitching perspective. But I think full circle to this matchup today is that the Blue Jays have been playing really, really well in Seattle. 6 straight victories at T-Mobile Park. They've won 8 of the last 9. They got the crowd on their side. It's July the 4th. You got to take advantage of the situation. I talked about this yesterday, the need for victories right now, but imagine you can put yourself in a scenario, assuming you can win this game for a potential sweep on Sunday afternoon. That would be massive for this Jays team.
That would be huge for this Jays team. And honestly, credit Arozarena, honestly, because like I said, that just kind of gave the Jays the momentum to just keep going, right? And I think if they can win or sweep the series, I think that would be huge for them because they've been on kind of in a drought lately, and they've been struggling. So I think that would also give them the confidence to just keep going. Maybe things will be looking up. I'm being so hopeful here. Maybe they probably won't be, but maybe they will. You don't know.
I admire your positivity. I truly do, because as you know, I follow this sport pretty damn close, and shit, they've been a really, really tough watch this season. They can't string hits together. Again, they just have zero identity at the dish. Like if you recall last year, specifically in the playoffs, it was guy after guy after guy just battling their hearts out, 9, 10 pitch ABs, and just really, really fatiguing the opposition and their pitchers, or at least having a game plan where your first pitch ambush. Like we're not really seeing a game plan. And again, the big story, not to lose sight of it, is when Vladimir Guerrero is going, it seems to be contagious to the rest of the roster. And I think at some point in time, this guy's way too damn good. He's going to find his stroke, and I just wonder what that means for the rest of the roster. But again, we talked about the pitching matchup. They're going to be in tough this afternoon in Seattle once again. Shane Bieber against Logan Gilbert. We'll start with Bieber. His third start of the year. He's thrown 9 innings so far, coming off, of course, the ailment that led him not to pitch in spring training. But he's got a 6 ERA, a 2 WHIP, 6 Ks, 4 walks. No different than how I felt last night, Sierra, about Shane Bieber and Dylan C specifically on Friday night. The command's going to be everything. And I think when you look at these elite pitchers, and I still think it's fair to, correlate Bieber to being an elite pitcher, it's all about command and knowing your zone. Obviously, he doesn't have the velocity that like a Dylan Cease has, but when Shane Bieber's at his best, and we saw it a couple times last year, the command is dialed in. So that's something I'm looking for this afternoon in Seattle.
I 100% agree. I think Shane Bieber, like I said before, he's been dealing with some injuries, so it was kind of, I don't want to say acceptable, but almost expected that he wasn't going to be at his best like he was last year and that kind of thing. But I think he's finding his groove, and I think, the more games he starts, obviously the better he's going to do and perform, obviously. But I think today against Seattle, I think that just gives him especially some just, I keep saying the word momentum. Like I think confidence is the right word. Like if he can command the game and come out straight confidence, especially in the first couple innings, I think he could do really well and lead this team to another victory. Once again, my positivity getting the best of me.
It's beaming out, and I'll tell you something. I better not be calling one of your former instructors at the College of Sports Media and indicating that you've used the word momentum multiple times on today's show, because he was not a big believer of momentum. But I completely agree. I know what you're saying, and I'm a believer in momentum, so that's all that matters. And I think if you're the Jays, you just want to keep this going in the right direction. Like I comprehend what you're trying to say. The emotion of playing against Bo Bichette, you win 2 of 3, now a big series, a rematch of the CS last year. You beat Seattle. You get a great outing from Dylan Cease. The bullpen's dialed in. Combo that up. What do you got this afternoon with Shane Bieber on the hill? Like, this is why you qualified him. This is why he bought back in. He wanted to be a Blue Jay. He's a free agent. Like, the motivation's there for this guy to pop off at some point in time. But you look back at his last start last Sunday against Texas, wasn't pretty. 5 1/3, albeit better than the first outing. 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks, 4 walks. Again, we talked about the command, and he let 1 bomb in that game. So the command is everything for me when it comes to Shane Bieber. And then the opposition, Logan Gilbert, if he's not their ace, he's their 2. Again, they have so much depth in the starting rotation due to the Seattle Mariners. Gilbert's 6-5. He's tossed 100 innings this season, 3.42 ERA, 101 WHIP. 107 Ks, 22 walks. He's got that bulldog mentality. He's a lanky body. 25 Ks over the last 3 starts for Logan Gilbert. So suffice it is to say, I think offense is going to be at a premium. More times than not, when I watch Blue Jays games, I don't expect much. And it just puts a lot of stress on Shane Bieber again this afternoon, Sierra.
It does, because when you look at this pitching matchup, Gilbert is amazing as well. It's a really good pitching matchup, but that just means if Shane Bieber for some reason isn't having like a good game, it's all on the offense, and the offense just hasn't been doing their job recently. And Gilbert is insane too. So it's just, I think if the Jays don't come out swinging, they have no shot. Shane Bieber can't do it all on his own, like you said, and the bullpen can only do so much. They can only save their ass so many times. So I think it'll be very interesting, but also I don't know. It's a good matchup.
It is, and my key to victory, quite frankly, is jumping on Gilbert early. To your point, I think pitchers of this realm, like I look at this guy as upper class, if you want to call it that, in Major League Baseball, especially in the American League. You got to jump on him early, and that's probably the mentality when you look at a Rosarena last night, is to jump on Cease early. And if you get that guy in a pocket, in a groove, he's going to be a tough out, and that's exactly what happened last night. So from that aspect, I comprehend it. But this is the lineup that Gilbert's going to face this afternoon for the Blue Jays. Nathan Lucas batting leadoff. Vladdy in the 2-hole. Once again, he's DHing today, so off his feet. Great to see that. Sean Keese is playing first base this afternoon. Okamoto batting third, playing 3. Varsho in center, batting 4th. Clement playing 2, batting 5th. Penyango left field in 6-hole. The 7th, Sean Keese again playing first base, so Vladdy's DHing. And Valenzuela catching. Once again with Andreas Jimenez batting 9th and playing shortstop in front of Shane Bieber. From the Mariners aspect, pretty much the same order as last night, I believe. J.P. Crawford leading off, Arozarena in the 2-hole, Dominic Canzone DHing, batting third. Cal Raleigh, again, massive slump for that dude. You don't want to get him cooking. Get cooking another series if you're Cal Raleigh. Catching, batting fourth. Mississauga's Josh Naylor in the 5-hole. Luke Raley, right field. Cole Young, a 2-bag. Victor Robles in center. And Colt Emerson, shortstop this afternoon for the Seattle Mariners. And again, you can't highlight enough just the importance of this game in the standing, just trying to pick up some victories here as you inch closer. Talk about momentum. I want to ride some momentum into the All-Star break in a couple weeks here, Sierra.
Oh, they absolutely have to. And looking at both starting lineups today, they're strong. Like the Jays lineup, looking at it, should be really strong. They're just not performing the way that they should be is the key word. They're just not performing the way that they should be. I think if Vladdy does what he did yesterday, continues that, I'm not going to say the word again, but continues that motivation or whatever you want to call
Different
it.
word. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Then I think maybe that could get the team going, like you said. But again, looking at this Mariners lineup too, Cal Raleigh, 2 more games and then he can start performing. Just wait it out 2 more games. But I mean, Shane Bieber's got it cut out for him too.
Yeah, he does. Seattle's a good squad. There's a reason why they were in the American League Championship Series last year against the Blue Jays, and we're up 3-2 in that series. People forget that as well. Baseball fans, there's nothing better than a day at the ballpark, but there's nothing worse than waiting in long lines around the ballpark. That's why Bet365 has 5-run early payout. When the team you're riding goes up 5 runs at any point in the game, they'll pay your bet out right then and there. Win or lose, no waiting required. Besides, the earlier you get paid, the earlier you can go back for another hot dog. Bet365, download the app and see what early payout's all about. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca. Terms and conditions apply. I understand you have a massive parlay that you want to put forth here in our betting segment. Go ahead.
I do. I love a good parlay, and I keep it going. So we got Vladdy to record 2+ bases, Okamoto to record 2+ bases, Ernie Clement and Nathan Lucas both to record a hit. Jay's money line, you got plus 972, $10, wins you $97. I think it's doable.
Okay. As a big hockey fan, I love the number 97. July 1, 2028, Connor McDavid, maybe a Maple Leaf. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the parlays are difficult. I'm going to go much more simpler with my bet. I've talked about it for the last 25 minutes. I don't expect a lot of offense this afternoon. You got Bieber on one side. You got Gilbert on the other. You got the Blue Jays who can't hit. Seattle, they're more of a bloop and blast type team. I'm playing the under 7.5, so that's slated at minus 105. I like the price point there. The under hit last night. I just think it's going to be a tight competitive series because of the importance, again, of these games. But you're clearly envisioning maybe some offense going against from what I'm seeing, Ray, with all the the parlay you've cooked up there.
One can hope, Why? you never know. I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be those 4. It's going to be Vladdy, Okamoto, Clement, and Lucas. So if they come out swinging, hopefully my parlay will hit. I would love that for that to happen, and I think it's possible. Once again, I really think it could happen, but they gotta come out strong. Please.
I appreciate the positivity today, Sierra. I should mention as well before I let you wrap, we're live every game day, 1 hour before first pitch, right here on the Blue Jays Nation YouTube and on Instagram at Blue Jays Nation. Coming up tomorrow, Dan Riccio is going to be in the saddle. Probably is going to be in a cranky mood because he's been covering this Canadian World Cup March, and of course falling short today against Morocco 3-0, but a 4 Eastern start time for Flight Deck at a first pitch just after 5 in Seattle. And Dan Riccio will be hosting tomorrow's show, Sierra.
Yes, once again, thank you so much. I'm Sierra Pileggi. That's Nick Alberga. The Jays game just getting started real soon, and we'll see you next time on Flight Deck.
Thanks for watching the live stream. If you want more content like this, Blue Jays focused, make sure to